tutorial will show you how to create time-lapse videos synchronized to music and sound effects using Panasonic Lumix cameras. A very powerful and practical time-lapse function is included with just about every Lumix camera today, and we are going to explore how to use this function. On Lumix cameras, the time-lapse function is accessed from the photo recording menu by selecting time-lapse animation. When we select mode, we're presented with time-lapse shot or stop-motion animation. We select time-lapse shot. The start time can be set to now, which is the moment the shutter button is pressed, or a time in the future. Next, we have the shooting interval and image count. The shooting interval can be set from 1 second to 99 minutes 59 seconds, and the image count can be set from 1 to 9,999 shots. At 30 frames per second, a 1 second interval will play back video at 30 times speed. 2 seconds, 60 times speed. 4 seconds, 120 times speed. 8 seconds, 240 times speed. In this example, we are shooting with a shutter speed of 4 seconds with long shutter noise reduction enabled, and therefore we have a shooting interval of 10 seconds. So summarizing, a 10-second time-lapse shot at 30 frames per second will take a total of 300 shots, or 5 minutes at 1 second intervals, and 40 minutes at 8 second intervals. As we'll see later on in this tutorial, a 6-second time-lapse shot at 2 second intervals will take 6 minutes and is sufficient for most soundtrack blocks or sections. The shooting interval should cover the shutter speed plus the long exposure noise reduction if enabled, plus about a 1 second buffer time. The first step in creating a time-lapse video is planning. Like any other video, it's a good idea to have a theme and a location for your shooting. It could be sunrises, sunsets, landmarks, landscapes, cityscapes. Wherever you decide to shoot, it's always a good idea to familiarize yourself with the location before beginning your shoot. Creating time-lapse videos is extremely time-consuming, and planning ahead will only help you use your time more efficiently. The next step is selecting your music, analyzing it, determining how many clips you're going to need, what lengths, and also the tempo. In this example, we've selected a 30-second music clip. We've listened and analyzed the music and laid down markers for each transition at the beat. We determined that the interval between markers is 3 seconds or 90 shots. For this 30-second music clip, we'll need 8 3-second clips plus 1 6-second clip. Familiarizing yourself with the mood and tempo of the music may actually help guide your shooting. Next, we need to get the camera gear ready for your shooting and check the weather ahead of time. You will need your Lumix camera, a tripod, neutral density filters, and a polarizer if you plan to shoot during daylight hours. The next step is shooting the time lapse. You can shoot in manual mode or aperture priority. In most cases, I shoot in aperture priority mode for sunrises, sunsets, and evening shooting. But during the day, midday shooting, manual works out better. Make sure you're in 16:9 photo mode at the highest resolution. Fix your ISO and fix your white balance. Set to manual focus. Set your aperture. Adjust your exposure compensation as required. Make sure you're using the electronic shutter. Shoot a single test photo before starting your time lapse and examine the photo for focus and exposure. Set your interval and image count. For most situations, a 2-second interval works out well. Then record your time lapse. When the time lapse completes, the camera will notify you that time lapse has completed and will prompt you to generate the video now. Just say no and move on to your next shot. When you have completed all your time-lapse shots, you can start generating your time-lapse videos. Select Menu, Play, and then Time-Lapse Video. Select the video format I normally shoot at 4K 30. Select the frame rate. I just leave it at 30. You also have the option of generating the time lapse in reverse order. Press OK and then yes to generate the video. Repeat these steps for each set of time lapse photos. Then copy the video files to your PC for editing. Using your video editor, open the music clip and bring in your time-lapse video clips. For each one of these video clips, we have trimmed them to 3 seconds and also applied an event pan crop function to create motion. We just simply place each clip on the video timeline in the order we want, respecting the beat markers that we previously set up on the soundtrack. We then place this sound effect at the last transition. We then render the video. It's that easy. As you can see, if you plan ahead, the workflow and process becomes fairly simple. This concludes the tutorial. If you have any questions or comments, please let us know. Thanks for watching. Bye.